One day, a lady brought her 9-year-old son. He was a very small boy with big eyes. I remember them very well. The lady came to me because she wanted to see what was happening to her son. She mentioned that for months, the boy often woke up at night screaming in terror. When she entered the room running, he sometimes told her that he had had nightmares. Therefore, the reason for the uproar was something normal. However, other times she mentioned the black monster. In the boy's own words, he says that the monster appeared every night and that it terrified him a lot. He says that he stayed with him in bed for long hours and that he threatened to talk to his mother, that if he did, he would take him to hell. I was not surprised that with such night episodes, the boy was living with such fear. At one point, I asked the lady about the father and she explained to me that they had divorced a few years ago, that he no longer even lived with the family. During the sessions we had as a result of this, I began to be more interested in the subject. Obviously, not because I thought something supernatural was happening, but something much worse. One day, I asked the mother to leave the office so that she would let me talk to the boy alone. She had a method that she had applied before so that the children would open without knowing it. I put on the table a wooden box that contained pieces of the same material. These small painted pieces had shapes of clothes, shirts, pants, shoes, but the most important thing were the bare heads with different gestures. One face was happy, another sad, another angry, another nervous, and the last one crying. I asked the boy to create a family using these pieces. The bear, who was supposed to be the son, put on a sad face. I asked him why he had done it like that, and he mentioned to me that the bear was also afraid of the monster. Then he made the bear a mother with a nervous expression for obvious reasons. And finally, to my surprise, he made a bear a father with an angry face. It seemed strange to me that he put the latter since his father no longer lived at home, and from what I knew, they hardly had contact. I asked him if that was the bear's father, and he replied no, that he was the bear's mother's boyfriend. Then I asked him why he put an angry face on that bear and he said that because that bear's father did not want the son to speak. I felt a chill at that moment. I continued. I questioned the boy to give me more information about the supposed bear's father, and with his big crying eyes, he told me that he was a monster who liked to go at night with the bear. In the darkness of the room, only a black silhouette could be seen, but the voice was unmistakable. Even knowing with horror what he was going to answer me, I asked him why he was going to the bear's room, and the boy replied that to touch him. I felt disgusted. Then I called the mother to talk to her alone, and she told me that, indeed, she had omitted by shame the small detail that she was going out with a man, and that he sometimes stayed to sleep at her house. All my theories were confirmed. I told the lady about everything I had discovered about the child's supposed monster, but she was very disbelieving. She was blinded by the love she had for that man, and she did not want to believe what I told her. But finally, fortunately, the mother's love is above all, and she began an investigation alone. I stopped seeing them for a while until one day she called me on the phone and told me that I was right, that degenerate was hurting the boy some nights. They got into legal problems, the police intervened, and I think that now he is not doing very well with that guy. The woman who follows me, how are you all? My name is Antonio Mesa. I have been practicing as a psychologist for 20 years, and I want to tell you an experience that, honestly, caused me chills with a patient I had a long time ago. I remember that the past generations saw with bad eyes that someone was assisting the psychologist, or the madman as they called us. They believed that they had to solve their problems on their own, that the blows of life were cured, or with time, or by giving a lot of desire to life. But they do not realize that sometimes there are wounds inside our mind that, for many years to come, will not heal alone. They need professional help. The person for whom I'm telling this experience is a 50-year-old woman who came to me because she thought she was going crazy. She said that every morning she left her house at 6 to get to work at 8. She used public transport, so it was normal to meet an overwhelming number of people. At first she did not notice it, but little by little she began to notice something around her. It was a feeling of being observed. When she was in the truck, she turned her head everywhere, looking for someone to see her. But beyond normal dodging looks from other public transport users, there was nothing that really alarmed her. Weeks later, the feeling got worse, and now she not only experienced that horrible feeling when there were more people around, but even when she left her house. It was as if someone, in the distance, posed his insidious sight on her. The horror escalated when, one day, he saw another woman watching her. The first time he glanced at her among the crowd of people in the subway, he almost panicked, because he said that this woman, with black hair, had her eyes sunken and her mouth half open. Her pale body was so thin that you could clearly see the bones of her face. With such semblance, it was incredible that no one else realized that she was there. My patient left so soon he saw her. Perhaps if this had ended there, the woman would not have ended up in therapy with me. But as you can imagine, it was quite the opposite. As horrible and incredible as it may seem, he found the same woman many times later. He usually did it in public transport, but then he began to find her in the streets. There, standing in a corner or sitting in the bus station. Sometimes, looking at her from the window of a building. He says that he saw her closer and closer. His abominable face followed her even in his dreams. The fear he experienced led him to a point of living panic attacks. He mentions that this is one of the worst things he has ever experienced. The drop that spilled the glass happened one day when she was about to go out to work as usual. He opened the door of his house, closed it, and when he turned around, he saw that on the other side of the street was the same woman with eyes so sunken that it seemed not to have. He began to tremble so much that my patient took a long minute to take the keys and manage to open his door again. Obviously he did not go to work that day, and as he could not say that a monster in the shape of a woman was outside his house, he preferred to lie and say that he had gotten sick. My patient tells me that as a result of that he sought the help of shamans, witches, police, and others. They all gave him solutions of their own, but clearly none could help him completely. In the end, as a last resort and as a recommendation they made him, he decided to visit a psychologist. When he told me all this, the only thing that occurred to me was that he suffered from schizophrenia. Although his age did not fit me for someone with this disease, I could not find another explanation. In the end, I had to send her to a colleague who practiced psychiatry to be treated. I keep that strange feeling that everything that happened to her is not natural in any way.